Alrighty, guys, this is certainly a week for Marvel actors denying things and then backtracking on things and all sorts of craziness. We'll talk about Benedict Cumberbatch and Doctor Strange in Doomsday in just a second, but first we gotta get to this story about Chris Evans and Avengers Doomsday. So, a few weeks ago, we reported on a story. We didn't report on it. We just talked about it. That's what we do on this podcast. We talk about things that are going on and, whatever is happening, movies, television, all that kind of stuff. And there was a report, I want to say it was Hollywood Reporter, one of the more reputable sources in the industry, who said Chris Evans is confirmed to be coming back in Avengers Doomsday, and that's it. They didn't say as Captain America, they didn't say as Nomad, so we even talked about, in last week's episode, a couple theories, right? What could be, what kind of character could he be playing? Was it going to be a Nomad version? Was it going to be Captain Hydra? Was it going to be actually Captain America? It didn't say. Right? And also along with that report came the additional report that not only was Chris Evans coming back, but Haley Atwell as well as was coming back as well as Peggy Carter. So now there's been an article published in Variety, speaking of backtracking, as we'll talk about later with Benedict Cumberbatch, that Chris Evans is now flatly denying that he is going to be at Avengers Doomsday. This is actually an article that, an interview done from Variety with Anthony Mackie promoting Captain America Brave New World, obviously the Captain America film starring Anthony Mackie and not Chris Evans, who I doubt will be appearing in this film at all. And Anthony Mackie gave some quotes here about, his thoughts on Chris Evans potentially coming back in in Avengers Doomsday. But then Chris Evans, I guess they also contacted Chris Evans and they were like, hey, are you coming back for Avengers Doomsday? And he gives an answer. So let's talk about what Anthony Mackie had to say first, because this is interesting. Anthony Mackie could be, making things up as well, but this is what he said. And actually, this article didn't come from Variety, this interview rather. The article was from Variety, but the interview was not. And this is actually an interview from Esquire magazine as part of a new cover story. But this is what Anthony Mackie said when he was, asked what he thought about Chris Evans coming back as Captain America and Avengers Doomsday. He said, quote, "I didn't know. I talked to Chris a few weeks ago, and it wasn't on the table then. At least he didn't tell me it was on the table because I asked him. I was like, they said they're bringing everyone back for the movie. Are you coming back?" He goes, "Oh, I'm happily retired. I learned that right then," he continued, and by that right then, he means when the news broke online about Chris Evans coming back. Anyways, the quote continues, quote, "My manager showed me. He's like, oh, so I guess Chris is coming back. That's all I know. I haven't seen a script." Okay. Let's table that for just a second, because I think it's important to pair Chris Evans' comments with Anthony Mackie's comments to kind of get a bigger picture of maybe what's going on here. So then, give some context. The article gives some context about what's going on of, how Chris Evans came back as Human Torch and Deadpool and Wolverine. And then they reached out to Chris Evans, and this is the quote that Chris Evans gave. Quote, "That's not true, though. This always happens. I mean, it happens every couple years, ever since Endgame. I've just stopped responding to it. Yeah, no, I'm happily retired." Then the article kind of goes on, some more quotes from Anthony Mackie just talking about the fact that, he's really excited about Doomsday and Secret Wars. He doesn't want it to be kind of a carbon copy of Infinity War and Endgame, though, which I'm sure that's what the Russos also want. We'll see. We'll see where we go from there. And then also the fact that, he wants to be playing Captain America for maybe 10 more years, and that's about it. But let's get back to the Chris Evans stuff here, the Chris Evans-ness of it all. So the thing is, right, I feel like, so here's what we've learned over the past few years. Actors can lie. Actors will lie. Marvel actors will definitely lie. Case in point, one Mr. Andrew Garfield. So when actors say, "I'm not going to be in this," whatever, I just don't take their word for it. If they say, "I'm going to be in it," well, that's obviously, that's an indication, right? I think Jamie Foxx was the first one. He was one of the big first leaks post Endgame. He was like, yeah, I'm going to be in the new Spider-Man. I'm not going to be blue. And everyone was like, what? Really? And so if they say they're going to be in it, then yeah, take them at their word, generally speaking. But if they're not, if they say they're not going to be in these projects, I don't trust anything, to be quite honest with you. I don't take any of that to the bank. So if Chris Evans said, "No, absolutely not. I'm going to be in Avengers or I'm not going to be in Avengers Doomsday," at any point, even before the rumors came out, even before the reports came out that he was going to be in Doomsday, I wouldn't have, it's not that I wouldn't have believed him. I just would not have taken that, to the bank at all. If I don't know, if Scarlett Johansson comes out tomorrow and she's like, "Nope, I'm not going to be in Doomsday," I'm going to be like, okay, we'll see when it comes out, right? So again, it's just a matter of, we don't have to take these people at their words anymore, because let's just wait and see what happens, right? Who knows? Andrew Garfield was not in Spider-Man No Way Home until he very much was in Spider-Man No Way Home. And it's interesting too, because the justifications that Anthony Mackie gives about, not knowing about all of this, it's very possible that he hasn't seen a script yet. I mean, they might still be writing the script for Avengers Doomsday. I suspect he's seen the story, though. He knows what the story is going to be. So I feel like it's sort of a half-truth. He's like, yeah, I haven't seen a script yet. I feel like he knows what the story is going to be. And I think he would have known if Chris Evans was coming back. So I feel like there's kind of a half-truth going on here. But bottom line is this. Chris Evans denies he's going to be in Avengers Doomsday. Do we believe him? Honestly, I don't know. I don't think it matters. The report says he's going to be in Doomsday, and I take that at face value more than I take Chris Evans' words not because I don't trust Chris Evans, generally speaking, but because actors can lie about these things. Andrew Garfield lied for months about not being in Spider-Man No Way Home. So I think at the end of the day, sure, this is interesting insofar as, yeah, Chris Evans is denying it, but I think let's just wait and see if he's going to be back in Doomsday. The other thing, too, that I want to bring up is the fact that if he hadn't been in Deadpool and Wolverine just a few months ago, I mean, sure, maybe you might have believed him a little more, right? But at this point, he's game to come back for even a little bit in Deadpool and Wolverine. Who's to say he's not game to coming back in Avengers Doomsday? So I think that this is, this all could be a non-story because maybe in the first trailer for Doomsday in a year or whenever that's going to come out, the first shot is going to be this Captain Hydra played by Chris Evans. Who knows? So I think we'll just have to wait and see. But, these Marvel actors, they're put through the gamut. And so with all these press interviews and whatnot, so it'll be interesting to see what actually happens. Guys, do you think after these interviews that Chris Evans will be in Avengers Doomsday? Or do you think he's telling the truth and he's not going to be in Avengers Doomsday? Let me know in the comments down below.